Good day, everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Vise Squad, brought to you by the Anadramas Fly Company and Fly Life Co. Before we get into this week's fly, if you want to check out any of our sponsors' gear, tools, materials, etc., you can visit fishingandoutdoors.ca for Canadian residents and .net for our American and international friends. They got all sorts of great stuff on there, all the stuff that I use, and Bryce and Adam as well. For our mobile users, it can be sometimes a little tricky to find the stores, but under specialty stores slash sponsors, there's a tab on the left-hand side on the mobile version. You can find everything there. Okay, that out of the way, this week's fly. We are going to do the flash and continuing with our DC set. So we're going to do a little Perdigon. It's flashy. It's going to hit the bottom of whatever your water you're fishing in a hurry, because it's got tungsten and some lead in there as well. So let's get right into it. This is a real quick and easy little bug that we're gonna fly through. So what I've got here is a size 14 scud hook. I've got a 1/8 red tungsten bead, and there's 4 wraps of 020 lead wire on there. If you aren't allowed to use lead, please use lead free. Just check your regulations. It's always good practice. We are going to start with some 70 denier UTC, which I'm going to start behind the lead, and then I'm just going to kind of wrap through the lead just to kind of cover it up. Doesn't have to be perfect, because we are going to come back with our the body thread here in a minute. Oops. Okay, for our little Perdigon tails, we're going to use some Coq de Leon, and this is dark Pardo, kind of a mottled looking feather. They make great tails, nice and stiff fibers. So I've got 4, count them up, 4 fibers for the tail. And I'm going to try and keep all the tips lined up, and I'm going to lay that on there. Now I don't want too long of tails, probably no more than what our body is, maybe even just a little bit less. So I'm just going to run that thread part way down the bend. I don't want to go too deep into the bend. And I'm going to put a couple light wraps and get those tails right on top of that hook shank, and then now we can measure them out and just pull them back. I can see I got one that's not cooperating, so I might just cut that out of there like that. Right. Once you're happy with your tail length, just continue your thread up towards the bead. Then we'll probably stop right behind the lead. No point in wrapping up over top of it and building bulk there. Alright. I do want to keep the profile nice and slim, so I want my thread nice and flat. The only other thing I'm going to do is just make one wrap underneath those tails, hopefully to get them to splay out just a little bit. Now I'm going to wrap back up so just before the bead, and we're going to grab a whip finish tool, and we'll throw a whip finish in there. All right, so for the body material, I'm going to use, this is actually orange, but it looks really red once you get it on there and you get it darkened with the UV. This is glitter thread, and it's got all sorts of different names. There's Midge body thread and Perdigon body thread and whatever. Anyway, it's glitter thread. Just depends on who you're buying it from or who's made it, which will depend on what it's called. At any rate, what we'll do is we'll just start it right behind the bead, make a few wraps, snip our tag out. Now, because I want to keep it a nice tight profile, I want to keep those thread wraps fairly tight on the way down, only tying to the tail, and I'm going to work my way back up. Now I do want to have a nice taper in this body, go back down just part way, back up, and I'm going to stop just behind the bead and grab that whip finish tool again. Whip up to the bead, 3 or 4 wraps. Now, you don't want to make too tight a wraps when you're tying with this stuff. If you make that whip finish too tight of turns, you'll have a heck of a time pulling it through because it's fairly coarse thread. All right. Last step is going to be some Solarez bone dry. I'll just put a nice light coat. I don't want to go too heavy because it just makes it look gaudy. Just nice and fine coat on there. Like so. We're going to cure that up. And while we're curing that, as I mentioned off the top, our sponsors are the Anadramas Fly Company and Fly Life Co. You can visit fishingandoutdoors.ca for Canadian-residents.net for our international and US friends. And you can find all your gear there under the sponsors slash specialty tab on the store. If you like today's video and you're interested in seeing more and you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell beside it. You won't miss any of our upcoming content. Thank you again to our sponsors, Anadramas and Fly Life Co. We really appreciate everything you do, and a big thanks to Rick for all your hard work getting the videos together. I know you're up to your eyeballs as a rule. At any rate, next week we'll figure out something else for this DC comic series, but this, ladies and gentlemen, is The Flash, and I'm out of here. Zoom, zoom, zoom!